Hey everyone, I just wanted to go over the subject of manipulating elements with jQuery one after the other with a nice time delay, um, but without the use of callbacks. The benefit of this is really you can use this code on a variable number of elements or an unknown number of elements. So let's say you're pulling elements from a database and you're dynamically inserting them with JavaScript or jQuery, and you don't really know how much there's going to be because depending on what the user does, there might be 100 elements pulled for one user and another user might pull 20 elements. Nesting callbacks to manipulate elements one by one, it will obviously work, but you need a new callback for each element that you want to manipulate. So for this example, I just want to go over how to fade in each element one after the other with a nice timed delay. What I see a lot of people talking about and suggesting and recommending on forums and places around the internet is to nest callbacks, and if you have more elements, or if you need to adjust the way you need to display them, just add more callbacks or change your callbacks and just go from there. But I've also seen a lot of people say, well, what if I don't know how many elements there are going to be? How can I handle an unknown number of elements? I can't create callbacks dynamically based on an unknown number of elements. And there was really no answer to that. So I kind of it's funny, I was doing something a few weeks ago, or actually it was probably a few months ago, and I kind of just came up with this code on the fly, and it worked really well. And I wanted to kind of share it with everyone here and let you know it's a really easy way to manipulate elements, or what we're going to do in this video is fade them in one by one with jQuery. So what I'm going to do is just select all the divs and run them through the each method. Run this function to index an element. So for each div, we're going to take the div and delay it by the index and multiply it by 500. This 500 value, it can be whatever you want. It's really just the amount of time you want to wait between each element. I'm just going to use 500 for now. And then I'm going to chain in another method, and I'll just do fade in for this example. You could obviously do fade out or slide down, whatever you really want. It just has to work with the delay method. Obviously, you can't do delay and then HTML. That wouldn't work at all because delay relates to animations, and it doesn't work with HTML and other methods. You can go on the jQuery site and see what delay will work with, but there are a slew of methods that delay won't work with. Anyway, so fade it in by 500 seconds and come back to the page and show you how it works. So you can see that it fades each one in nicely, waiting till the previous one is done. And obviously, if I just copied this, I know there's going to be duplicate IDs, but I just want to show you. Copy this and made a ton of divs. It will still go through every div, no matter how many you have, or it doesn't have to be divs. It can be spans or list elements or anything you want, really, any HTML element. So that's a really nice way to manipulate elements one after the other with jQuery. What I was talking about before with the callbacks, actually before I get into the callbacks, let me just explain how this works. So basically with jQuery, you're taking you're selecting all the divs, and you're taking each of the divs and you're running the delay method on it, and you're taking the index of the div and you're multiplying it by 500, and then you're fading it in by, in this case, 500 you're going to fade it in over the course of 500 milliseconds. And the reason why this works is because when you multiply the index by 500 or whatever value you want, you're basically taking the element's index and exploiting that to be able to wait for the previous element to finish until the next one should fade in. So in this case, the first element, obviously the index of a first element in programming is always 0. So you're really taking 0 and you're multiplying it by 500, which is 0. So for the first element, you can obviously see when we reload the page, it fades in immediately. The second element, will fade in. Um, it will fade in with its index times 500, which is 1 times 500, which is 500. So it'll wait 500 seconds, and you can see how it goes on and on. 0 seconds, 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000. So you can see how it chains really nicely just by using the delay method with the index as a multiplier on the time to wait. Just another quick thing I wanted to go over. The other thing I would see is people using nested callbacks, which again will work, and that's fine. But if you don't really know how many elements you want to manipulate, this works. The method I just showed you works really well. Plus, nested callbacks is a lot of code, so let me show you what a bunch of nested callbacks would look like. So if you take the ID of 1 and then you let's say we fade it in 500 seconds, and then we have a callback function, and then we have ID number 2, and we fade that in 500 seconds. We have another callback function, and then we have ID 3. We fade that in. Oh, sorry, not doing too well typing tonight. 500 seconds, another callback function. ID of 4, fade that in. 500 seconds, you have another callback function. And then you have the ID of 5, and fade that in with no callback since it's the last element. Well, now it is in this case. So let's refresh this page, and you can see that it works using the callbacks. But let's say I make more divs. Let me just do this. Let's just say I make 6, 7, refresh this. Obviously, it will only get to the 5th div because I only have support here for the IDs that I hard coded in. And you can't. I mean, if you take all this, wipe it out, and you say div dot fade in 500, that obviously won't work because it will fade them all in, and that's not what you want at all. So even when you know there's a certain number of elements to be faded in, I find that the code I showed you in the beginning of the video is much more efficient and faster. I mean, it's one line. I mean, if you want to count the each method, it's technically 2 lines or 3 lines if you want to count the closing brackets. But it's much faster, and I really see a lot of people going the route of nested callbacks, and it's just, I mean, I think it has its place, but it's not the best thing to use in this case. I hope this is helpful to people, and feel free to leave comments and any suggestions or questions you have. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to cover. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's really it. I've really only seen the answer to manipulating multiple elements is being, multiple callbacks. So I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you guys later.